Hey y'all, it is Dr. Jada once again, and I just want to say hey and thank you for joining me. Today I am going to talk about the midlife crisis. And so if you don't want to know anything about midlife crisis, then guess what? This isn't your video. So the reason I started thinking about talking on this particular topic is because I did a couple of videos on Risa Tisa's midlife crisis, and now she is the TikTok phenomenon. But I've got a lot of comments about midlife crisis symptoms and how do you deal with a midlife crisis. And then I stepped back and I thought about it. I have so many clients that I am working with now who are facing midlife crisis like symptoms. So if you are a millennial or a Gen Xer, then this video is for you. And again, for those of you who do not know who I am, I'm Dr. Jada Jackson Hill, and I am a licensed mental health counselor and licensed professional counselor. My goal is to educate, to help people address some of the most complex experiences in their lives. I am also a trauma therapist. So I work quite a bit with those who have unresolved childhood issues or adverse childhood issues. And again, all of us in some way have those unresolved issues because life is messy and complicated, as you will hear me say quite often. But working with my clients, it's important for me first to establish rapport and to sit with them in whatever it is they are experiencing, and then come alongside them and help them understand what has happened. We usually can't really always say why it happened, but we can peel the layers back on the experiences. And usually those experiences involve other people. So we address these life experiences through the lens of relationships, and usually it's unhealthy relationships. And so today we're talking about navigating the midlife crisis, understanding, coping, and thriving. So understanding, coping, and thriving. And so the midlife crisis usually is depicted by someone purchasing a convertible red Ferrari. And again, maybe that person is going through a time of turmoil and uncertainty and is trying to find their mojo again. But it's a significant period of transition for many individuals. It's a time when people confront questions about their identity, about their purpose, about their fulfillment. Often, these moments of questioning may lead to angst and anxiety and feelings of being overwhelmed, sometimes even disillusionment, and at its worst, depression. And let me tell you, I can remember I told a friend of mine, I was like, I think I'm going through an early midlife crisis. Like something is happening. I'm not really sure what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling comfortable in my skin. It was like I wanted to crawl out and just find contentment in some way. And I did my work. And I have to say this, remember, therapists have therapists. So sitting with my therapist, I said, not really sure what's going on, but I told her that I felt I was grieving the loss of my unlived life. And I sat there and bawled right there in the office. I cried, and I just remember I could not stop crying. And I sat with that for a little bit because I had accomplished so much. But at the same time, I found myself questioning those dreams that I had that I wasn't able to fulfill. There were some expectations that I had in my life that just didn't work. Um, there were some experiences in my life that I was very taken back by. And I just concluded that I'm grieving those things. And I found myself in pursuit of some of them, knowing full well that it wasn't possible for me to achieve those things. And I found myself just grieving my unlived life. So I don't know how many of you can relate to that. If you can, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. But a midlife crisis doesn't always have to be a negative experience, because with awareness, and this is what I learned later on, with awareness, having the adequate support, having a strategy, a mental health strategy, an emotional wellness strategy, a strategy for execution. If we have all of these elements built in, or have them in place, we can definitely engage in a more transformative journey towards greater self-awareness and growth. So let's look at the understanding piece of this, this lesson. So understanding the midlife crisis. So of course, the midlife crisis is commonly characterized by a deep reassessment of one's life. And usually this occurs in a very specific window of time, from an age perspective, and that's between the ages of 35 and 55. So right now, that would be millennials and Gen Xers. So like I said earlier, if you're a millennial or a Gen Xer, this video is for you. But if you're on kind of the cusp or right on the line between that centennial and millennial, if you're an older centennial, this may be helpful for you as well. And so it's right in that window. And usually, of course, it's stereotypically identified by behaviors like, again, that sports car that I was talking about, or pursuing some just ridiculous career. Like I know someone who was, I want to say at the time, he was just about to turn 40. And he was like, I'm going to be a rapper. And, hey, if you like it, I love it. But again, we have these moments and drastic career changes and large purchases that remind us of our youth has the potential to make us do things that some people may be scratching their heads, but it's essentially those types of behaviors that make people go, okay, wait a second, what's going on here? So what I want to talk about right now are just some common signs and symptoms of a midlife crisis. So again, if you're between the 35 and 55, that's who I'm talking to right now. So if you're a little bit older, maybe you're going through a late midlife crisis. Maybe you're 60 and you're like, oh yeah, it is time for that convertible. Then I'm talking to you. So, yeah, we have Cindy Crawford here, who reveals that women can also have a midlife crisis. And it says, even though she's a stunning supermodel, Cindy Crawford is letting everyone in on a little secret. Her life isn't perfect. At the age of 56, she recently found herself stuck in a bit of a rut. So she had to shake things up and get herself back on track. So that's Cindy Crawford's story. And then, interestingly enough, this is outside the realm of millennial and Gen X, but we have a centennial here who said, and as you can see, Holland says he was having a midlife crisis at 25 and doesn't know if he wants to be an actor. And so again, this, people, when you start to question where you are in life, why you're doing what you're doing. Is it really that important? Should I do something else? Like, what does all of this mean? That's in that existential space where you start to question the purpose and the meaning of life itself. And so that's Tom Holland. And then, interestingly enough, Miss Michelle Obama, I thought that, I remember this one very distinctly. She says, She says her bangs were a midlife crisis moment. And so I thought that was cute. It says, much has been said about Michelle Obama's bangs, and she finally took a break from the busy demands of being FLOTUS to address the inspiration behind the buzzworthy style. And she says, this is my midlife crisis, the bangs. And she joked with Rachel Ray. But yeah, she said, hey, you know what? I wanted to try something new. And yes, trying something new for her. Again, trying to figure it out. It's the whole midlife crisis thing. Here's another one that I thought was pretty darn interesting. And I love seeing that celebrities are so open about what they're doing. Here is Tyler Perry. And he's just like, okay, so this is what a midlife crisis looks like. I'm 51, single, and wondering what the next chapter of my life will look like. He goes on to say, whatever it looks like, I'm going to walk with God, be the best father and man I can be, hold my head up high, and try to look my best doing it. In a world with so much sadness, please try and stay in the good. And then he goes on to say, Merry Christmas, look forward. And so I thought that was kind of cool. And then finally, this one is Chrissy Teigen. And she says, she calls this look her midlife crisis hair. And so it says, in the past week, Chrissy Teigen has deleted her Twitter, launched her plant-based home cleaning line in collaboration with Kris Jenner, and still found time to have a midlife crisis. But anyway, this is her midlife crisis hair. I don't see it. She's stunningly beautiful. But again, the midlife crisis is real. So whatever it is that you might be going through, hey, we can go through it all together. So let's do it. So number one is just the dissatisfaction with your current life circumstances. Have you ever been in a situation where you start to question everything? You start to question your marriage. You begin to question your career. You start to question your personal achievements that you've spent forever attempting to cultivate and build this a skill set. And all of a sudden, you're just not quite sure if this is this is enough. Number two, of course, relationship struggles. I have a client, I'm going to call her Sarah. Sarah is a mother of two, and she just started experiencing some conflict in her marriage. And then she started to question herself whether or not she settled into her marriage too quickly. And she just, wanted to go back and see if her college boyfriend was really the one. And in doing that, of course, it disrupted her marriage. It disrupted the lives of her children. And it really caused some backlash in her relationship. So she started to have some relationship struggles. I have another client, and I'm going to call him Matt. This is number three. Matt had an existential moment of reflection. Matt is a very, very successful artist, and he began to really question the changes in who he was as an artist. And the next thing you know, he said he wasn't making an impact in life. He felt that he wasted many years cultivating this craft. And then he just wanted to know, is what I'm doing right now going to impact the world? Where I am right now, is it good enough to have impact? And am I leaving this lasting impact on the world in a way that is meaningful and purposeful based on who I am as an individual? And so that was Matt's question. Number four, I have another client, and I'm calling her Lisa, and Lisa's not quite. Lisa is 44, and she has some health and aging concerns, and so she has really begun to focus on her mortality and aging and she didn't have body image issues, but all of a sudden she does. And these body image issues and the fear that her time is running out to accomplish her dreams and her goals, it's caused her to, she did have gastric bypass. She also decided to have a couple of um, plastic surgeries, and she's struggling. She's struggling with who she is, where she is, all the things. And so this is in that health and aging area. So again, this is just understanding what a midlife crisis is and what you might potentially be going through. And so if you all can relate, I'd love for you to hop in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love for you to do so. Please also hit the like button and share this content if you know someone who just needs to explore some mental health issues, or would love to just learn a little bit more about why am I the way that I am? Who am I at this point in my life? But this channel is mostly geared toward those millennials and many of the Gen Xers who are in that nice little tight window, maybe a little bit outside of it, but just know that we are all thriving to get better, and personal development is key. And so what can we do? Here are some tips for coping and thriving if you are approaching a midlife crisis, you're in the midlife crisis, or you're coming out of a midlife crisis. Regardless of where you are in all of this, hopefully something that I say can help and bless you and get you into a place of going, okay, you know what? I think I got this. I think I got it. I think I got it. I think I can do it. Charge on. So number one, self-reflection. What I want you to do is just take a moment, take a little bit of time and reflect on your values. Everything that I do is based on my core belief system. So that is my point of reference. And having a point of reference, what that does for you is it pushes out all of the noise. So you're very clear about how you make decisions. You're clear about when, where, and why you make decisions. So you have something as a point of reference. What are your passions? What are you really passionate about? I realize that I am so passionate in seeing people grow and develop. I love to cultivate personal development and professional development for others, but even more so from a mental health perspective, helping people understand how we got to where we are mentally and emotionally and spiritually, and what can we do to continue to thrive. So knowing what your passions are. And then thirdly, what are your goals? What are your goals at this point in your life? Now, remember I said earlier that I grieved. I was in the process of grieving my unlived life. Well, one of those areas that I had to grieve was not being able to have children. And so that was a deep, deep, deep area. And I've done a lot of work in that space. So anyone who knows me, my friends, my family, my community, those people who are closest to me, and I talk about this. This is one of the areas that I speak to other women about, but that is an area where I had to grieve my unlived life. I did not get a chance to live out being a mom. And so while there was a period of time where it was absolutely paralyzing for me, I almost couldn't function. I have done the hard work, and I mean really done the hard work surrounding that. But I wonder, what are your areas? What areas are you grieving that in your life that you just realize that this isn't going to happen? I work with professional athletes, and some of them, they only got a chance to play professionally for 2 years. And they spent their entire lives as kids, in college, in high school and college, and fighting really hard to get to that pro level. And whether it was an injury, or whether they were cut from the team, or whether they were demoted to, say, a lower level of minor league ball, their dreams, they had to grieve that they would never play again. And that's tough. So I just wonder, what is it for you? What is it for you? What is there something that you are having to grieve that you weren't able to live out? Your expectation, your dream. What is it for you? So what do you do? What do you do in a situation like this? Definitely therapy can help. So if you need a therapist, you need to talk through it. I would say for sure find someone that you can process this. And again, it may just be this little window of space that you need to process, but process it nonetheless. Journaling is a great way. And why? It's because it's a conscious stream of thought and you can get it out so it's not suppressed. My first book that I wrote was because my therapist, and this was like 20 years ago, but my therapist told me journal. And I ended up journaling a stack of composition notebooks that ended up like this. And it ended up being a book. So journaling can be very helpful. And then meditation. I believe that prayer and meditation is one of the most powerful coping mechanisms. Why? Because that's something we get to learn and grow in and build in. And it's a strong way for us to find agency within ourselves. And so, again, so your tip number one is self-reflection. Tip number two, embracing change. Of course, instead of resisting change, and again, I tell my clients, see change as an opportunity for growth and development, and most of all, self-discovery. This is an area where I personally think my clients get stuck, and they get stuck because, listen, it is comfortable to just stay where you are. Why do we need to change? Why do we need, and then we have to hit the brick wall of the fear of the unknown, because that's what change is. Usually change fosters the fear of the unknown. And now we have to explore not only the things we don't know, but the things that we might be afraid of. And so being open to exploring new interests, new hobbies, of course, new career paths, but you have to make sure that they align with your authentic self. I always tell my clients, you have to know who you are, what you want, where you're going, how you're going to get there, and who are the people you're going to enlist to help you get there. So knowing all of these things, that keeps you right in that healthy space of authenticity. So in other words, looking at oneself in the mirror, being willing to explore the good, the bad, and the ugly, and being willing to let someone who's close to you show you your blind spot, because we all have the blind spots. Number three, support. We have to be in community. And that's what I'm building here. My attempt here on my channel, because my channel is very new, but my attempt is the very thing that I do every single day in my office, whether it's in a group setting, whether it's in a small women's group, whether being able to surround yourself with those who can understand what you're going through and those who are going to be supportive. And of course, it could be friends, family members, or even a therapist who can offer guidance, encouragement, or a perspective during the challenging time of a midlife crisis. And then number four is just prioritize self-care. Of course, I have completely gotten into the whole spa experience in home. Like I have gone all out to establish that peaceful space, because everything around me, I just want it to be content, peaceful, and I do that in a mindful way. And whatever it is for you, whether invest in your physical, your spiritual, your emotional, and mental well-being by practicing the self-care activities that are important to you. Not too long ago, and I think this, now I'm thinking about it, this might have been an early midlife crisis for me, but I joined a group of women, and I started the bodybuilding process, and I trained really, really hard. And this was I was kind of giving back to my physical well-being. And I've always done that. I've always have been active and, doing the things that I need to do for the most part. But I was a bodybuilder. I was in the category the physique category. And that was something that during the time it was very helpful, but whatever it is, just make sure that it's practical. So again, you want to exercise. Now my exercise is a little bit different. I'm not doing the bodybuilding anymore, but I definitely try to do things that release the endorphins, that get my blood flowing, that has oxygen flowing to my brain in a healthy way, and trying to eat healthy, although I love a good Krispy Kreme donut every now and then. I'm just saying. But of course, eating healthy, that sleep is going to be important. So making sure that you have adequate sleep and learning relaxation techniques. That's where kind of my spa experience is coming in. I do quite a bit because being a therapist is one thing, but I also have a private practice and have therapists who work with me, but I also travel a lot because I work with professional athletes. And so I get to do a lot of fun things. But at the end of the day, it's important to establish a routine that allows you to learn how to relax when you need it. Very important. Number 5, set those realistic goals. So again, break down your long-term goals and aspirations into smaller, achievable goals. You all know the SMART goals, but making sure they're achievable is going to be important, which means you may have to tell yourself that this huge goal needs to be a short-term, smaller, achievable goal in order for you to take those steps forward. But remember, celebrate your progress and your accomplishments along the way. And I like to say, no matter how small it is. And then finally, number 6, to me, this is the most important, and it is simply cultivating gratitude. Cultivating gratitude. Focus on the present moment. Cultivate gratitude for all of the incredible blessings in your life. There's something that is called the hedonic adaptation. And that hedonic adaptation, what that means is, or it's called the hedonic treadmill. That simply means that our brain, once we become desensitized to something, or we achieve something, or we attain a certain goal, or we've conquered something, our brain goes, oh no, you have to have more. This will never be enough. Let's go to the next level. And the hedonic adaptation is just this treadmill of being in pursuit of something, and it's never enough. So here's your homework, just like I give my clients homework. Learn to count the blessings in your life. Practice being grateful. Practice the gratitude, because that gratitude can help shift your perspective from scarcity. I don't have enough. This will never be good enough. I'm not enough. All of these lacking thoughts that we might have about ourselves. The more grateful we are, we can shift our perspective from scarcity to abundance and foster a greater sense of contentment and fulfillment. And so if you're experiencing a midlife crisis, or you're experiencing I'm not enough, or you're experiencing I don't have enough, or you're experiencing I'm not giving enough, I'm not good enough, whatever it is, that scarcity mindset, I'm going to ask you to look around and think of all of the incredible things that you do have. And the first one is breath and life right now in this moment. And I want you to embrace that as a gift. And that gift is an opportunity for you to give to others. And so the midlife crisis, of course, is a natural and can be a very transformative process, a very transformative phase of one's life that can give you an opportunity for, remember, the self-reflection, the growth, and the opportunity to renew yourself right where you are, because where you are is where you're supposed to be. And so by embracing change and not resisting it, by seeking support and not isolating, by prioritizing self-care, all of us, we can all navigate this transitional period with a little bit of grace and come out on the other side stronger, wiser, more resilient, than ever before. So remember, the midlife crisis is not a sign of weakness by no stretch of the imagination. What it really is what I believe is a testament to your courage and willingness to embrace life's challenges and opportunities. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you subscribe to my channel. I hope you come back as we have these interesting but in-depth conversations surrounding mental and emotional well-being. And I am Dr. Jada Jackson Hill, and I will see you in the next video. And as I said, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.